जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा बनचारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा बनचारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय नित्यलीला प्रविष्टो मुश्रपात परमहंस श्री 108 श्री AC भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य BBT फाउंडर आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। समवेत भक्तवृंद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री गौरनिताय की जय। राधा कृष्ण मिलित तनु विप्रलम्ब विग्रह श्री गौर सुंदर की जय। श्री श्री राधा क्षीरचोर गोपीनाथ की जय। श्री जगन्नाथ श्री बलदेव श्रीमती सुभद्रा महारानी की जय। भक्ति विघ्न विनाशकारी नृसिंहदेव भगवान की जय। सिंह भगवान अपीरस्ते की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami iti namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Agyantimirandhasya Gyananjan Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Aham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Guruna Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijan Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitanscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutay Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Chakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishmebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So welcome to the most auspicious day, the appearance day of Srila Nrsimhadev Bhagavan. We're going to be celebrating this wonderful day by chanting, hearing the katha, discussing the pastimes, and fasting, and then enjoying prasadam, all this wonderful, and yajna in the afternoon. So we start by reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 8, somewhere here. Yeah, the Lord Nrsimhadev slays the king of demons. And we're going to be doing text 17. It's on the screen? Okay. So please repeat after me. Satyam vidhatum nijabhyatya bhashitam vyaptim cha bhuteshu akhileshu chatmanah adrishyatyati adbhuta rupam udvahan stambhe sabhayam namragam namanusham Satyam vidhatum nijabhyatya bhashitam vyaptim cha bhuteshu akhileshu chatmanah adrishyatyati adbhuta rupam udvahan stambhe sabhayam namragam namanusham Satyam vidhatum nijabhyatya bhashitam vyaptim cha bhuteshu akhileshu chatmanah adrishyatati adbhuta rupam udvahan stambhe sabhayam namragam namanusham Satyam vibhatum vidhatya bhashitam bhuteshu akhileshu chatmanah teshu rupam udvahan stambhe sabhayam namragam namanusham Satyam vibhatum nijabhyatya bhashitam vyaptim cha bhuteshu akhileshu chatmanah adrishitati adbhuta rupam udvahan stambhe sabhayam namragam namanusham Satyam vidhatum nijabhyatya bhashitam vyaptim cha bhuteshu akhileshu chatmanah adrishyatati adbhuta rupam udvahan stambhe sabhayam namragam namanusham Mataji's Satyam vidhatum nijabhyatya bhashitam vyaptim cha bhuteshu akhileshu chatmanah Dashityati adbhuta rupam udvahan stambhe sabhayam namragam namanusham Satyam, true. Vidhatum, to prove. Nijabhyatya bhashitam, the words of his own servant, Prahlad Maharaj, who had said that his Lord is present everywhere. Vyaptim, the pervasion. Cha, and. Bhuteshu, among the living entities and elements. Akhileshu, all. Cha, also. Atmanaha, of himself. Adrishyata, was seen. Ati, very. Adbhut, wonderful. Rupam, form. Udvahan, taking. Stambhe, in the pillar. Sabhayam, within the assembly. Na, not. Mrigam, an animal. Na, nor. Manusham, a human being. Translation. To prove that the statement of his servant Prahlad Maharaj was substantial, in other words, to prove that the Supreme Lord is present everywhere, even within the pillar of an assembly hall, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, exhibited a wonderful form never before seen. The form was neither that of a man nor that of a lion. Thus the Lord appeared in his wonderful form in the assembly hall. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. When Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad Maharaj, "Where is your Lord? Is he present in this pillar?" Prahlad Maharaj fearlessly replied, "Yes, my Lord is present everywhere." Therefore, to convince Hiranyakashipu that the statement of Prahlad Maharaj was unmistakably true, the Lord appeared from the pillar. The Lord appeared as half lion and half man, so that Hiranyakashipu could not understand whether the great giant was a lion or a human being. To substantiate Prahlada's statement, the Lord proved that his devotee, as declared in Bhagavad Gita, is never vanquished. Kaunte pratijanahi na me bhakta pranashyati. Prahlad Maharaj's demoniac father had repeatedly threatened to kill Prahlad. But Prahlad was confident that he could not be killed since he was protected by the Supreme Lord. By appearing from the pillar, the Lord encouraged his devotee, saying in effect, "Don't worry, I am present here." By manifesting his form as Nrsingadev, the Lord also preserved the truth of Lord Brahma's promise that Hiranyakashipu was not to be killed by any animal or any man. The Lord appeared in a form that could not be said to be fully a man or a lion. Translation. To prove that the statement of his servant Prahlad Maharaj was substantial, in other words, to prove that the Supreme Lord is present everywhere, even within the pillar of an assembly hall, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, exhibited a wonderful form never before seen. The form was neither that of a man nor that of a lion. Thus the Lord appeared in his wonderful form in the assembly hall. Shri Nrsimha Bhagwan ki jai. So we'll take a few words at a time of this particular verse, because I think this is a very wonderful, very meaningful verse. I mean, they all are, Srimad Bhagavatam. So, we read many reasons for the Lord's appearance, and in Bhagavad Gita, Lord himself says, "Yada dahi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata." Whenever there is decline in religion, abhityanam dharmasya, whenever there is rise in irreligion. And he appears from millennium to millennium. And he goes on to say that in the next verse, that paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya cha duskritam. Dharma sansthapanarthaya. So he's saying, to protect my devotees and to kill the miscreants and to reestablish the religious principles, I appear from me. But really there are minor reasons. I mean, obviously Krishna is saying that, so there are reasons, no question about that, but they're not the main reasons. For example, the Lord does not have to appear to protect his devotees. I mean, think about it. Who was protecting Prahlad Maharaj before Lord Nrsimhadev appeared? Who was protecting? Huh? The Lord, but he wasn't present. So how was he protecting? Huh? Through his energies. Okay, I'm looking for a different answer. Holy name. The holy name of the Lord is more than capable of protecting the devotee. Right? To kill the miscreant, does he have to appear really? I mean, you're saying energy, he can do that. He's living as Paramatma. Where does he live as Paramatma? In the heart. So all he has to do is extend his hand and go like this, turn the switch off, the valve finished, and the heart stops. He doesn't have to come. So that's what I mean, that it's not really the main reasons for his appearance. So there are main reasons. Krishna, for example, says that the reason he himself appears, I'm not talking about the incarnations. Krishna, before he appears in Dwapara Yuga, he says, actually the real reason of appearing is to have interaction, the sweet nectarian interactions with my pure devotees. He says, that's the real reason I'm appearing. And then he talks about different mellows and how it is controlled by the pure devotees. He talks about all that. But he's saying, really the real reason is I want to have pleasure of interaction with my devotees, and I want to give them the pleasure of having interaction with me. Here in this verse is yet another reason being given. Satyam vidhatum nijabhitya bhashitam. To prove the statement of my pure devotees is true, I'm appearing. And in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining that as Hiranyakashipu was challenging Prahlad Maharaj, saying, where is your Lord? You keep talking about him. Where is he? And Prahlad Maharaj kept saying, he's everywhere. And Hiranyakashipu was getting tired of that answer. So he said, here in this assembly hall is a pillar, pillars actually. And he said, I've designed this particular palace under my personal supervision. I've seen the completion of this building, especially these pillars. I was there watching as the pillars were being constructed. And I know there's nothing inside. I know firsthand. So therefore he points at the pillar and says, is he here? Knowing there's nobody there. Prahlad Maharaj was able to see Lord Nrsimhadev smiling from inside the pillar. And with full confidence, he said, yes, of course he is. He is there. And that is when, as you know, Hiranyakashipu got so angry and so frustrated, he took his fist and hit on the pillar. And you all know what happened. But again, the point being made is that the Lord wanted to prove that my devotee's statement that I'm present everywhere is true. And we'll talk about that in a little more detail later on. Also at the same time, Lord wanted to prove the benedictions of another devotee of his to be true. And that is Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma had actually been, kind of cornered. He got into a situation not realizing what's going to happen. So he had the demigods come to him saying, we are burning with the fire. It's too hot. This fire is coming from this place, Mandarachal, and we're burning, so help us. So Lord Brahma said, okay, my children are asking me for help, so I'll go there. So he went there, found this place where the flame was coming from, didn't see anything but an anthill. And again, the story, I won't go to the details. He threw some water from his kamandal and out came Hiranyakashipu, who wanted to become immortal. And Brahma said, well, I can't do that. I'm not immortal. I only live short time frame of 311 trillion years, 55 million years. That's it. So I cannot make you immortal, right? And so he said, okay, fine. And then Hiranyakashipu is very smart. So he says, I'm going to just cover off all my bases. So, okay, I don't want to die daytime or nighttime. I don't want to be killed by a man or an animal. I don't want to be killed by anything living or dead. I don't want to be killed by anything you created. I don't want to die in land or air or sky or in the water. And he just tried to cover all the bases you could think of. And Lord Brahma said, okay. And then again, you all know the story, so Hiranyakashipu got those benedictions, and he said, I'm going to take the revenge of my brother's death, which is Hiranyaksha killed by Varadev, which is Vishnu. And he said, Vishnu will become weak because he gets strength from the demigods. Demigods get the strength from the oblations and the fire sacrifice. If he stops the fire sacrifices, demigods will become weak and Vishnu will die. That was his logic. Anyway, so he does all that. And the Lord said that I'm going to keep the sanctity of the benediction given by my devotee Brahma, and I'm going to find a loophole, and again we'll talk about this in a minute, and do the killing anyway. So he comes, he appears, he does what he needed to do, while at the same time keeping the truth of the statements by Prahlad Maharaj and Lord Brahma, and that's why he says Satyam Vidhatum, keeping the truth of that. And again, the same thing was told by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 31, which is again quoted by Srila Prabhupada in the purport, Kaunte Pratijane Name Bhaktya Punashati. What does that mean? It basically means I will protect my devotees under all situations. But it means a little bit more than that. He's implying, the reason he's asking Arjun to make that statement, Chipram Bhoti Dharmadma Shashva Sadhya Gachati, is that he says people know that I can break my word. In examples of Krishna broke his own words? Yes.
Like, do not take any weapon in front of
Yes. He said, I'm not going to bear any weapons, the battle of Kurukshetra, and he did to protect his devotee. So he says there are examples of where, and then of course there's some examples of him lying, outright lying, like butter all over, saying, no, I didn't eat any butter, things like that. So he said, but when my devotee says something, everybody knows I will not allow that to break. Again, that step is being made here, Satyam Vidhatum, Nij Bhritya Bhashtam. But not anybody's, Nij Bhritya. What is Nij Bhritya? We all know the very famous verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ayakala Ishwar Krishna, Ar Sab Bhritya. Everybody else is servant, including all the Vishnu Tattva incarnations of Krishna. They're all servants of Krishna. But he is saying Nij Bhritya. So Nij is a qualification. Nij means, anybody? My own. My own servant. So the servants, my own servants, there must be something very special about Nij Bhritya. So these are the devotees who are completely devoid of any material motivation, any material desires, any material attachments, and they are 24/7 fixed unto the devotional service of Lord. Their mind is fixed 24/7 unto the lotus feet of the Lord. They don't know anything but the Lord. Mere tu Giridhar Gopal, dusro na koi. There's nobody else. Ananya Bhakti. There's nobody else that matters. And I can't think of anybody but Krishna. So that's what he means by Nij Bhritya. And that Nij Bhritya is described also by Lord Shiva in Padma Puran. When he's talking to his wife Parvati, he says, Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnur aradhanam param. Tasmat partaram devi tadiyanam samachar. Tadiyanam. What's tadiyanam? Tadiyanam is again somebody who actually belongs to Krishna and to whom Krishna belongs. In other words, this kind of devotee is totally controlling Krishna. Krishna is completely controlled by this kind of devotee. And he will not do anything that does not please Krishna. All his activities, all his thoughts are simply for one purpose, that is to give pleasure to Krishna. And Prahlad Maharaj himself describes different processes of devotional service. Let's talk about Shravanam. And Prahlad was known for Smaranam. But did he do Shravanam? Yes. When? In the womb. How long? How many years do you know? 100 celestial years. That's like 36,000 years on the earth. That's Shravanam. If somebody is in 24-hour kirtan, people say, okay, I'll come back after lunch. Things like that, right? But he's there. And he's actually listening. Later on, he talks about, he said, my mother Kayadhu heard the same classes from Narad Muni that I did. But she ended up supporting her husband, Hiranyakashipu, even to the degree when he said to her, give your son poison. After some reluctance, she agreed. In other words, husband became more important. So he's saying, Prabhupada was saying, she wasn't paying a lot of attention to what Narad Muni was saying. She was not internalizing. So she was listening, maybe getting the knowledge, but not realization, not internalizing. But I was listening and internalizing. That is real Shravanam. So he did that for 36,000 years. As a result, was one of the results of devotee association. In the Ado Shraddha Tattva Sadhusang, Artha Bhajan Kriya, Artha Nivritti, then Shraddha. Right? Sorry, not Shraddha. What? Nishtha, thank you. Nishtha. That is firm faith. That is what he developed. Along with love and all that, but that is what he developed. And we'll talk about that full faith in a second. That faith was so strong that despite everything that Hiranyakashipu was doing to shake his faith, he was not able to do that. I mean, he tried everything. He tried to throw him from the top of a mountain with a big stone tied to his back into the ocean. He tried to get him stoned by mad elephants, throw him in the dark well full of scorpions and the snakes, tried to burn him in the fire, tried to get his wife to give him poison in a kheer, pierced by the spears, so many different ways. But he was not able to shake the faith of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was able to see the hand of Krishna in everything. Somebody asked him later on, were you not scared when you were thrown in the pit or the dark well full of snakes and scorpions? He said, no. Snakes are the bed of Krishna. So I was just saying Krishna lying on that bed of snakes. When he was thrown from the top of the cliff, actually there's another incarnation of Lord Nrsimhadev known as Varaha Nrsimha. So Lord Nrsimhadev appeared, and I'll talk in more detail about that in a minute, in the Varaha form and rescued Prahlad Maharaj from there. So he said, I knew my Krishna was going to save me, whatever is happening. All I had to do was take his name. But he got tortured. I mean, he may not have felt the pain, but when you hear about all the things that were happening to him, this torture. And Prahlad Maharaj could have escaped all that torture. All he had to say was, speak in Punjabi with 3 words. Daddy ji, tusi great ho. That's all he had to do. You're great. That's all he had to say. And everything would have stopped. But he will not do that. Right? He will not do that because his faith is Krishna is the supreme. Krishna is the greatest. And a little bit of torture is not going to shake my faith. And that faith came from that Shravanam, that devotee association, even before. Like Prahlad Maharaj never saw his guru in his Vapu form. He can't really see from inside the womb. He only heard. So all he had was Vani. But that Vani was so powerful for him that he became Prahlad Maharaj. And we hear these things and we know that this is the right thing to do, but because of our conditioning, we find it very hard to become a devotee which is 24/7. And I was discussing with my daughter, Radha Bhakti, coming to the temple, that this is how much part-time we are. When we start a journey, we go anywhere, first thing we do is chant the Singha Pranam, right? Namaste. How many of us chant the same prayer when we arrive at the destination? And I was saying, probably never. At least I probably never do that. Right? That's what I mean by part-time. Matlab nikal gaya, now I've got my purpose solved, I'm protected, now I'm okay, I don't have to chant your name again. But not Prahlad Maharaj. He was doing it even after he had been saved. And of course, he was doing this all the time. So, the other thing, again, talking about Nijbhritya, I heard in the class that, we talk about these planets having an influence upon our day-to-day life. Rahu lag gaya, Shani lag gaya, all these planets have this great influence upon what's going to happen in our life. So, and there are 12 different planets that have that effect, depending on which house they are in and what happens. But somebody said, the Griha, the planet that had affected Prahlad Maharaj was Krishna Griha. So Prahlad was known as Krishna Griha Grihita. Means he's impacted by the planet Krishna. And we can all imagine the influence of planet Krishna on anybody's life. So therefore, he was able to see Krishna's hand in everything. Like somebody said, Laddu mila to Krishna ka hand, thappad mila phir bhi Krishna ka hand. And that's what Prahlad Maharaj was saying, no matter what happened. This is Krishna doing it, and, Rakhe Krishna mare ke, Krishna is going to protect me, who's going to kill me? And I don't have to worry. Why should I worry when Krishna is there taking care of me? Again, think of an example of a 4-year-old child, no worries. He runs across the street, climbs up walls and this and that, because he knows my dad is there to protect me. If something happens, he'll take care of me. And that is how Nijbhritya acts. So, in this particular verse, the recognition of Prahlad Maharaj being Nijbhritya, and Lord Narsimha is coming to prove his statements true. Satyam vidhatum Nijbhritya bhashita. Whatever he said, he's going to prove. Next line says, is the line there? Yeah, just put the, yeah. Vyaptim. Vyaptim is a, very interesting word. It has two meanings, one in the context of time, one in the context of space. So Vyaptim means all pervading. And we know that from Brahma Samhita, right? Anantarastha paramanuchaya antarastam. Chapter 5, text 35. So he is Paramatma feature. He pervades all atoms in the universe. So in that way, he's present everywhere. And in the context of Narsimha Bhagavan, we'll talk about how he's present everywhere in a minute in more details. But the other concept is the time-wise, which means Sambhavami Yuga Yuga. The Lord appears from time to time to time, depending upon the need of the time and depending upon the desire of the devotee. So, as we were talking before, the Lord appears to satisfy the desire of his devotees. The Lord appears to also, whatever the need of the time is, and the Lord assumes the form according to the desire of the devotees or the need of the time. So he's not stuck that human is the best looking form, therefore I'll only appear as human. The first incarnation of Krishna is Matsya avatar. Then he appears as Kurma avatar. Then he appears as Varaha avatar. None of them are human forms. And it's as if Darwin's theory of evolution is being proven that next time he appears half man, half woman. But that's not true, I'm just kidding. But my point is, he's not hung up on what he looks like. Whatever form he looks like is beautiful and is amazing. So it's Vyaptim in that sense also. Trillions of incarnations and probably trillions of different forms. Most of them we don't even know. So let me talk about some of the other less famous forms of Lord Nrsimhadev in different pastimes. So there's one pastime, this in different Puranas, that there was a man by the name of Vishwaksen. And he was like a wanderer. He was constantly traveling. He was not a sannyasi. Actually, he was a womanizer. But he was traveling from place to place to place. So one time he was traveling through a village, and it was night time, so he needed a place to stay. So he went to the chief of the village. They call Mukhya in Hindi. He went to the chief and said, can I find a place to stay somewhere? And the chief said, yeah, you can stay in my house. So that's great, thank you very much. He went there. And then the Mukhya said that, I'm getting very old now, and I have a Shivalinga that I'm not able to worship. So can you worship my Shivalinga today? And Vishwaksen said, I'm sorry, I don't know how to worship Lord Shiva. I've never worshipped Lord Shiva. I'm a Narsimha Bhakta. So I only know how to worship Lord Narsimha. So the Mukhya said, it's very easy. Just pour water and put some bay leaves. That's all you have to do. And chant Om Namah Shivaya. So he said, okay. So he took the water, he was pouring the water, he was putting the bay leaves, but he couldn't say Om Namah Shivaya because he was just not used to it. From his mouth, only words will come out is Om Namah Nisinghaya. Om Namah Nisinghaya. Just chanting that and putting the water and the bay leaves on Shivlinga. So when the Mukhya heard that, he got very angry. He took a knife and lunged at Vishwaksena. How dare you say that? And Lord Nrsimhadev appeared. And he protected his devotee Vishwaksena. So that's one pastime, his appearance. There's another pastime where there was a disciple of Shankaracharya. And somehow he was a devotee of Nrsimhadev. So one time he was passing through a forest. I was getting, I think it was early in the morning actually. He decided to sit down and meditate upon Lord Nrsimhadev. So sitting down, saying Nrsimha, 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 Nrsimha. And a hunter walked by. And he heard. So he said to him, what are you chanting? Are you calling somebody? And he said, yes, I'm calling my Lord Nrsimhadev. And so the hunter said, where is he? And he said, my Lord is everywhere. And he said, the hunter said, in this forest also? And he said, not just this forest, every forest, he's everywhere. And the hunter said, I've been, like 3-4 generations of mine have been living in this forest. I was born here, I was brought up here. I know every little corner of this forest. I know every animal, every bird in this forest. So if he's in this forest, I'll find him. And the disciple said, stop talking nonsense, you will not find him. Just go away, let me just call his name. He said, no, I really want to help you. If you're calling him, he's not coming, I'll find him. And so this disciple started mocking him, and the hunter said, okay, this is serious. I'll tell you. Let me describe to me what he looks like, let me go and find him. If I don't find him by the evening, I will cut my throat with the sword. So he said, fine. She described him, he looks like half lion, half man. You know, the hunter said, okay. Whole day, the hunter was going from corner to corner of this forest, saying Narsimha, 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 Narsimha. All day was chanting that name, looking for somebody who looks like half man, half lion. Didn't find. So the evening time came, and he went to the disciple and said, I had made a promise, if I don't find your Narsimha by the evening time, I will kill myself. So I'm going to kill myself. He took his sword, was about to kill himself. Lord Nrsimhadev appeared. Stopped him from killing himself, held his hand and said, I'm very happy with your dedication, and here I am in front of you. So he said, the hunter said, that's not enough. I'll take you to this man. He took him to this disciple and said, here is Lord Nrsimha that you're calling for. I found him. And he opened his eyes, disciple, and said, I don't see anybody. You're lying to me. He said, no, I'm not lying. He's standing right here, right here. And the disciple said, I don't see him. Then Lord Nrsimhadev spoke and he said, you will not see me because you don't have that level of dedication or devotion. But this hunter has the devotion, has the dedication, he can see me. And then disappeared. So again, that's another pastime. Another one, this is a really strange one. This is in the south, one of the forms of Lord Nrsimhadev is known as Vidal Nrsimha. I don't know if anybody's heard that. Have you heard that? Anybody? I had heard the name of the town also, I can't remember right now. But anyway, the story goes that there was a daughter of one rishi, very beautiful, by the name of Malati. So she was serving her father every day by going to the river, taking bath, and then collecting flowers, bringing them to the father for his service. So this morning she went there, she took a bath, she was coming out. When she came out of the lake, she saw Ravana standing there. And Ravana was a big traveler also, he was traveling all constantly. And there's so many stories about all his misdeeds in different places. Anyway, so Ravana saw her and he found her very, very beautiful. So he said to her, I am Ravana, please marry me. And she refused. So he got angry, he had his way with her and left. And so she was sitting there crying, how do I go back to my father's house? And as she was sitting there crying, the servant, the carrier of Lord Ganesha, who's that? Who's the carrier? Mushak, yeah. The mouse or rat, whatever word you want to use in English. Anyway, he came and he said, my dear lady, why are you crying? So she explained the whole thing. I said, can you please take me to my father's house? But he also kind of, became a little lusty, had his way with her, and he left also. She then gave birth to a child which looked like a mouse, but had all the strength of Ravana and the mentality of Ravana. So basically grew up to be asura, a demon. And was harassing the villagers, everybody else, really bothering them. This is now Treta Yuga. I should have mentioned, which yuga did Lord Singhdeva appear? Satyuga, okay. Dwapar? That's definitely no. The first, the one we're talking about. Anybody else? Narsimha. Okay. So basically he appeared. Let me explain. It's not like a day and, it's not like a cliff that you're going there and you fall down, right? So it's like you have day, you have night, you have Sandhya. It's in between time. So similarly with the ages change, from Satyuga, Treta to Dwapar, Dwapar to Kali Yuga, there's a period of overlap. It's called Sandhya. So I think it's about 250,000 years long. So as Satyuga is finishing, Treta is starting, there's that in-between period. So Lord Nrsimha actually appeared in that Sandhya. So Satyuga was just ending, but Treta had not really started that time. So anyway, so then Treta Yuga came, Lord Ram appeared. And as he was wandering, he passed through this particular village where Mushchik Asur was harassing the villagers. So they told Lord Ram about this demon and said, please kill him. He's really harassing us. So Lord Ram took the form, was now known as Vidal Nrsimha, which is the form that the face of a cat, body of a lion, and the legs of a human. So now there's three: cat, lion, and human. And the reason he did that is that who's mouse most scared of? A cat. So the cat face. And then he'd be chasing this demon. But the rats or the mouse like to hide where? Where do they like to hide? A hole in the ground, right? Bill. So this rat would keep hiding in those holes, and the Lord in the Vidal Nrsimha form would be chasing him in all these holes in different places. And they say that the Lord is still chasing this demon, has not yet found him. So going from hole to hole to hole, Vidal Nrsimha is still chasing this particular. Anyway, so that's another appearance of Lord Nrsimha. Then of course, who's heard about Ahobilam? Anybody heard of Ahobilam? Anybody been there? You been there? Okay. You been there? Okay, great. Yeah, I've been there also. Wonderful 9 forms of Lord Nrsimha there. I will talk about Varaha Nrsimha, that form is there. There is Jwala Nrsimha. This is the angry form of Lord Nrsimha. Actually, it is said, I've been there, so I know, there's the small temple, and beside that is a little pond with red water. The water is still red. It said that Lord washed his hands after killing Hiranyakashipu, and therefore that water is still red. Actually, if you've been to Navadvip, to Narsinghapalli, anybody to Narsinghapalli? Okay, so there's a big, nice temple of that, Lord Nrsimha, and beside that is a pond, right? And they said that's also the place where he washed his hands. So different kalpas, maybe a different types of pastime, but my point is that he appeared in different places. So similarly, Yoganand form, Bhargava Nrsimha form, 9 different forms of Lord Nrsimha in the place called Ahobilam. Actually, there's 2 names, Ahobilam and Ahobalam. This was the first appearance was the Lord appearing in this hole. So the demigods were saying, Bill means hole in the ground. And not the bill that you get in the mail. So he said, means, look, great. Aho Bilam, in this hole the Lord has appeared. And then also seeing the strength, Aho Balam, the strength of the Lord. Look at that. So Aho Bilam, name of the same place. Lord Ram went there, Lord Shiva went there, so anyway. So Vyaptim, I was coming to Vyaptim. So Vyaptim is space and different times, all these different times, Lord keeps appearing in different forms, different incarnations. Then he says, Adrashta ati adbhuta rupam udvahan, the third line. Right, is there? Yeah. So Adrashta means never before seen. It was never before seen in many ways. One is when he appeared, the size. It is said that his mane was above the clouds. As he moved his head, the clouds were being scattered. That's how high, how big he was. And when Hiranyakashipu, who was himself very big, saw it, he couldn't understand. He didn't say, who is it? In Bhagavatam it says, he thought, what is it? Namrigam Manusham. He can't understand what this is. And initially he couldn't even understand where the sound is coming from. And talking about the sound, when he appeared, he roared. And Brahma is sitting where? The highest planetary system, right? Brahmalok or Satyalok, right? He heard it there. And he almost fell off from his chair because he thought that two planets had collided. That's how loud this was. You can imagine. Hiranyakashipu almost fainted. The only person who actually stayed calm and quiet was Prahlad Maharaj. Then talking about the size, as he was fighting with Hiranyakashipu, he was actually playing. Do you know what time he appeared? Approximately? Huh? No. This is why I asked the question. He did not appear at dusk.
He killed at dusk.
Yeah, he killed at dusk. What time did he appear? Around what time did he appear? He appeared around noon. He appeared around noon, right? And for almost 9 hours, 8-9 hours, whatever, the fight was going on. But the Lord was simply playing. He wanted to have fun. Because one of the reasons he appears in these forms is he wants to satisfy the itch he develops in his muscles. I got to fight with somebody, it's too quiet here. The Sheshnag doesn't do anything. Lakshmi is only massaging my feet and there's nothing else. So he gets itchy and then he creates these pastimes. Anyway, he was fighting with him and the demigods were watching. And demigods are funny. They are very selfish in that they want their protection. And so sometimes it will look like the Lord is just about to kill him. And all these demigods will come out from behind the clouds and starts, clapping and showering flowers and all that. My Lord is going to win. And then the Lord will let him go. And it would look like Hiranyakashipu is winning. And then they'll hide behind the clouds, the demigods. Why? Because they were afraid if Hiranyakashipu sees them cheering the opponent of Hiranyakashipu, he'll get mad and kill us when he finishes his job. So they were hiding when Hiranyakashipu looked like he was winning, and they were cheering when it looked like the Lord was winning. So anyway, and the Lord was so big, this one part of the story, that one time Hiranyakashipu lunged at the Lord, and the Lord stopped him with his hand like this. And at that point, Hiranyakashipu disappeared. And the Lord actually was looking, almost bewildered. Where did he go? Where did he go? He couldn't find him anywhere. And then sometimes, if your hands are wet, you go like this, dry your hands. He went like that. Hiranyakashipu came out of between his nails. So he entered the inside of his nail. That's how big the Lord was. So imagine Hiranyakashipu himself being so big, and the Lord having enough room between his nail and the skin that he hid in that place. So again, I'm trying to give you an idea of the size of the Lord when he appeared. And then of course, after he had killed Hiranyakashipu, he had gone out of the palace where all the soldiers were running towards him. There he takes the 1,000-armed form and he kills all the soldiers with his nails. As he was fighting with Hiranyakashipu, sometimes he'll have a 8-hand form, sometimes he'll have 16-hand form. And that's why you see different pictures of Lord Singh. They have a different number of arms. It's just depicting different times of that battle going on between, and then, yeah. And finally, when the Lord said, okay, enough, it's now dust time, Lord threw Hiranyakashipu in the air. This is according to Hari Bhakti Shuddhodaya. And very, very high, obviously, as Hiranyakashipu was falling down, he finally appreciated the potency of the Lord. And for the first time in his life, he felt awe and reverence for somebody. First time in his life. So when he fell down, Lord Nrsimhadev arranged it so that he fell on his lap, right at the door of that palace. So he could satisfy all the conditions for which Lord Brahma had given the benediction. Not in the land, not in the sky, so on the thigh. Not with anything living, not dead. The only part of our body that's either living or dead, living and dead at the same time is our nails. The dead bone, but they grow, so they're living. Right? So he uses nails. It's called knifeless open heart surgery, which starts at the intestine. So it's not inside, but ends up there. Right? And of course, not daytime, not nighttime. And all the other conditions, not water, not air, so on and so forth. And he does his thing. And of course the form itself was Namrigabdan Arsham to satisfy another condition of the benediction that he had given. Anyway, it's getting close to the time, so I'm going to wrap up. Just want to say that another lesson that we can learn from this particular pastime is the Lord's attitude towards his devotees. The Lord says, no matter what the situation is, no matter what the conditions are, no matter who it is, if anybody is going to bother my devotee, I'm going to be there to protect the devotee. I'll find a loophole in whatever conditions have been put, like in this particular situation, and use that loophole to protect my devotee and kill the miscreant. What that means is that the Lord is always worrying about his devotee. He's always thinking about how I'm going to protect him, not just him, but his devotion as well, his spirituality as well. And he's constantly worrying about his devotees. He wants to satisfy all the desires of the devotees. He says, I'm under the control of my devotees. And we know from the story of Durvasa Muni and Ambarish, when Durvasa Muni went running away from the Sudarshan Chakra. Oh, by the way, I should also mention, the Lord was so concerned about Ambarish Maharaj that he told his Sudarshan Chakra to always hover around where Ambarish Maharaj is. And Sudarshan Chakra said, my dear Lord, I travel faster than the speed of mind. I can stay with you. When the need is there, I can be there before you know it. And the Lord said, even that is too long. That is how worried the Lord is about the devotee. So Lord is constantly worried about the devotee. And so anyway, he told Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni said, you said your promise is that if somebody takes your shelter, you will protect. And the Lord broke that promise and he said, no. Aham bhakta paradhino. He aswatantra idvaja. Sadhuvir grastra hridyo bhakta bhakjanay priya. He says, I am not independent. I'm totally controlled by my devotees. How controlled? Just like a bird in a little cage. That's the only freedom the bird has, cannot get out of the cage. Therefore, I cannot get out of the control of my own devotee or the devotee of my devotees. So therefore, go back to him and ask for protection or forgiveness from my devotee. So that is how much the Lord is worrying about. And the lesson that I want to talk about is how much do we worry about other devotees? How much do we worry about the desires of other devotees? How much do we worry about the protection or any kind of assistance or help or service? How willing are we to serve other devotees? And there's one lesson from Lord Nrsimhadev's Leela of course other leelas also, is how worried the Lord is, how much he wants to serve his own devotees, how much he wants to protect his devotees, how much he wants to satisfy the desire of his devotees. And maybe we can learn from the Lord to say, we should try to do the same thing. If you're doing so much for your devotee, we should do something like that for that devotee also. Let us show that eagerness. Let us show that desire. Let us show that inclination to serve other devotees in whichever way, whichever form they need it. Because serving the devotee, Krishna says, is better than serving him. So let's do better than serving Krishna. Let's serve other devotees. Let's serve each other. Let's, as Prabhupada said, let's cooperate and serve Krishna in that way. So thank you very much. Shri Nanddev Bhagwan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. I don't know if you have time for questions, but if there's time, I'm happy to take questions. Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, Hiranyakashipu tried in so many ways to kill Prahlad, and each time there was failure. So, and the personalities that he employed in trying to kill Prahlad were all very highly competent persons in the art of killing. And every time he saw that it's a failure. So what gave him the confidence that he could do it when so many times this boy had been somehow or the other magically protected?
Thank you, Prabhu. That's a wonderful question. Actually, we'll talk about that tonight also, that particular point. And one of the reasons, how does the prayer start? Namaste, right? Na implies false ego. Ma implies mamatva, which means the sense of proprietorship. So we are suffering from false ego. We're suffering from the mamatva, which is it all belongs to me. So Hiranyakashipu could not get beyond the thought process of everything, all the 14 planetary systems belong to me. Everything that's there belongs to me. It's for my enjoyment. And I am the most powerful. There's nobody more powerful than me. So any thought of Krishna being the proprietor, any thought of Krishna being the more powerful personality would not enter his mind. All he could see was that all these demigods are my menial servants. Indra was taking care of his horses. Other demigods were cooking for him. Other demigods were cleaning for him. And when he raised his eyebrows, they all almost fainted. Right? That's what he was used to. So he couldn't think anything beyond that. So therefore, if you being a soldier or somebody else, couldn't kill him, that's your fault. So maybe I should kill you. It's not his failure, it's your failure. Somehow I can't get good help these days. So hard to get good help. So that was his conclusion. It never occurred to him that Vishnu is above Brahma. It never occurred to him that, hey, that Vishnu who killed so easily his brother Varahadev, that's right, Hiranyaksha, is somebody more powerful than him. It's never occurred to him. He would not consider the possibility. He would not entertain that possibility. Therefore, he could never come to the conclusion that I'm failing. I don't fail. Everybody else fails. I'm always successful. If only I had better help. And that is why at the end he says, I have only incompetent soldiers. Therefore I got to do this myself. But for 1 second, he did get defeated by Prahlad Maharaj. He says, Prahlad, imagine, actually I remember when the Lord Nrsimhadev in Mayapur was going to be established and they were looking for somebody to carve the deity. They said, we want Prahlad Maharaj also. And what's the word they use for the person? Sthapati, thank you. He said, if you want Prahlad Maharaj also, I have to make it in proportion. And the size I'm thinking about, if I have it in the same proportion, Prahlad Maharaj would look like this. It has like something like 132, factor of 132. So therefore I cannot do that. And they said, okay, fine, don't make it in proportion, but whatever you can bear, it is neat. My point is, Hiranyakashipu was also very large compared to a 5-year-old boy. So imagine somebody that huge hovering over a 5-year-old boy. with a sword drawn out, saying, I'm about to chop your head off. But he noticed Prahlad was not shaking. He's not trembling. He's looking calm, cool, collected, right? No fear on his face. Then he got scared. And he said, Prahlad, I don't understand. Where is your strength coming from? How come you're not scared? And cool Prahlad Maharaj said, my strength is coming from the same place that yours is coming. That was the only time Hiranyakashipu trembled a little bit. Of course, until at the end when Lord himself showed up. Understand? Anyway, have I answered your question? It just never occurred to him. Never occurred to him. Even when he saw his own sister burn in the fire, he said, the benedictions are not true. You know? Okay. Any? Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Words of Narada Muni to Nala, Kuvera and Manigraha, would that also come under the same situation where the Lord appeared to satisfy, or was it meant to be?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, in the description of Damodar Leela, it is said that after the Lord had been playing with the boys, after he's been bound, he told the boys to go into the house of every gopi who had come to make fun of him as he was being tied with a rope, to go to their house and steal butter and bring it over. It would have a butter party. So all of them went to the different gopis' houses, they brought the butter, they had a butter party. But at that time the Lord said, my devotee Narad, so many years ago had benedicted these two people to get mercy from me. And so he started playing the game of, let's jump up and down. So as he was jumping up and down, he was also crawling towards he didn't want to run to the trees because the boys will make sound or noises, or Krishna is running again, and Yashoda will come and stop him. So going very slowly, almost imperceptibly, to do this. But he remembered that and he said, I got to do this. So yes, absolutely. Yeah. And so, there are many, many situations where the Lord does things to simply make the words of his devotee true. And this is why we say a lot of times the devotees curse is not a curse. It's a blessing in disguise, but they're making sure the Lord will. Like even the example of Gajendra. King Indradyumna was cursed by Agastya Muni. But you say, why he didn't really do anything wrong. He was just meditating, he didn't see. Right? Parikshit Maharaj, the same thing. He didn't do anything wrong, he was meditating. But in both cases, there was misbehavior. Right? Or perceived misbehavior anyway. So one became Gajendra, and Parikshit Maharaj heard from Shukadeva Goswami. But here's the point. If Indradyumna was not cursed by Agastya Muni, who knows how many more lifetimes he would have had to take before he would get liberated. But this way he got liberated in the next life. Similarly, Parikshit Maharaj, who knows? But he got liberated after 7 days. So my point again is that yes, Krishna knows these things, and these curses are more like benedictions to expedite your travel back to Godhead. Okay? Anybody? Yes, bro.
Sorry, I just had a question. Is there any specific meaning and significance to the name Prahalad? Like any
Yes,
specific?
So actually, Prahlad basically means somebody who's happy. So there were 4 brothers and 1 sister. So Ahalad, which means pleasure or happiness, Sahalad, Anulad, and Prahlad. And I forget the sister's name now. I knew it, but I forget. Anyway, so they all had Ahlad in their name. But Prahlad basically means constantly happy. And this is very meaningful because also, even as Prahlad was being tortured and all these schemes were being made to kill him, he was feeling the pleasure of the presence of Krishna. He could see, as I was saying earlier, the hand of Krishna in all these things. And he said that, and I mentioned that I think already, that when he saw the snakes, he saw the bed. when he got the poison in the kheer by his own mother, right? He saw Lord Shiva being benedicted to hold the wish. And when he saw his aunt taking him in the fire, he saw the fire sacrifice going as representing the mouth of the Lord. So he was getting pleasure from seeing the hand of Krishna in everything. So hence the name Prahlad became more meaningful. I'm sure Hiranyakashipu did not know all that, but you get prompted by the Lord to do those things. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Shri Rupanuga Prabhu ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Where is everybody? Is Bhakti getting missing?
And for the opening of this fundraiser and
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you so much for attending the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Anyone who cannot completely fast, there is some Ekadashi Prasadam downstairs, and if you are willing to take, you can take it. Just a reminder, we have fasting till dusk today, and at 4 o'clock we have Yajna today. So, Hare Krishna.